Hello viewers, today I have come with the poem Hunger by Jayanta Mahapatra. It is in the syllabus of UG Semester 5, DSC 1 paper 1A, Indian Writing in English. Now, the poem is a sign of life and lists the suffering of man on the level of sex, hunger, poverty, drought. Here it deals with social realities, more ironic, and points out the truth behind it. Starvation and hunger are the issues of social discrimination and inequality. This poem, Hunger, consists of 4 stanzas having 5 lines each. There is no set rhyme scheme. Now the poem Hunger, I'm reading the lines of the poem and then I will elaborate it. It was hard to believe the flesh was heavy on my back. Here, the opening lines of the poem is starting with a character, with the chief speaker, with the protagonist, and he was having a sexual desire, and that is his hunger. The fisherman said, "Will you have her?" carelessly, trailing his nets and his nerves as though his words sanctified the purpose with which he faced himself. So, the character, the protagonist, was introduced. He felt his sexual desire, his cravings, and that is becoming heavy on him. Another character, the character of the fisherman, was with him. Noticing his desires, he put a deal in front of him, saying carelessly, while trailing his nets, while drawing his nets and nerves, he wished he could fulfill his hunger of sex, and that is the way through which he would be able to earn money to satiate his hunger for food. Now here 2 types of hunger has been described, and how both the ways lastly being transformed, that we will see. Now hear the word, "Will you have her?" carelessly, trailing his nets and his nerves as though his words sanctified the purpose with which he faced himself. Sanctified has been used, sanctified, something that is pure. So why this word has been sanctified when he put a deal before the chief speaker, before the protagonist? Because through that it is purposeful, it is intentional, he can earn some money. And that is nothing wrong when a person has to satiate his hunger. Any mode is wise, any mode is right. I saw his white bone thrash his eyes. White bones. Here the chief speaker is saying that he had noticed his white shiny teeth along with his teary eyes, his wet eyes, depicts the helplessness, misery, poverty the man is facing for the deal. I followed him across the sprawling sand, my mind thumping in the flesh sling. Hope lay perhaps in burning the house I live in. Silence gripped my sleeves, his body clogged at his old nets had only dragged up from the seas. Here the following lines were saying that in the following lines he saw the sprawling sand, the stretch out sand. And he was following the fisherman, and his mind was thumping, it was intensified, he was having tension and stress, and hope lay perhaps in burning the house I live in. But he followed his wish, his desire, his sexual desire, and to take the chance to fulfill it, he followed the fisherman. He silently observed that while drawing the nets from the sea, he found that he had only gathered froth and nothing else. And what do we understand by the word froth? that is like the sea bubbles, the water bubbles, the foam that has been captured by the fisherman that day. It means, it signifies no earning, nothing that he can sell to the market and buy his food to satiate his hunger. So in the flickering dark, his lean opened like a wound. In the flickering dark, in the unsteadiness, in that darkness, he had seen the lean structure of the fisherman, and that was appearing like a wound. वो एक जख्म की तरह उसके सामने उसे लग रहा था. Lean, दुबला पतला इंसान, मतलब the physique of the fisherman. The wind was I, and the days and nights before. The wind was I. Here, the wind matlab tufan, the storm. And here the protagonist was the wind, because he has entered to that house, he has gone to visit that house. And that was not strangeness to them, strangeness to that family, because the storm visits that house in the previous days and nights earlier also. They were familiar to such type of storms, means he wanted to convey that such customers coming to the house was not strangeness to them. They were familiar of that type of visits. Palm fronds scratched my skin. Inside the shack, an oil lamps played thus, bunched to those walls. Over and over, the sticky soot crossed the space of my mind. Palm fronds, palm leaves, that was covered the hut, the house of the fisherman. While entering, his skin got scratched through the sharp edges of that palm leaves, and he observed that the walls of the hut was stuck with the oil lamps that was providing some light in that space. While the lamp was spreading light and releasing the sticky blackness. So now, resuming the lecture. Here the wind was storm suffering to the protagonist, and such storms visit that house. Now means that they were familiar to that. When he entered, he noticed on the walls the oil lamp stuck, and that sticky soot, the stickiness means, you understand, जो सब चिपका हुआ जो रहता है, that is something that got stuck, the stickiness, चिपकना. And soot means the carbon. When the flame was on, it released the blackness that was covering the walls of the lamp. So this here signifies, he saw the oil lamps were stuck on the walls, providing light in the house, while the lamp was spreading light and releasing the sticky blackness. So it signifies the blackness of the realization of the sin of the action, whatever the thought or the idea behind visiting that house, entering that hut, that was captured in his mind. That was the blackness, the defame, the sin of the deed or action that he is going to commit. So that is the sticky soot. I heard him say, "My daughter, she's just turned 15. Feel her. I will be back soon. Your bus leaves at 9. So he here is giving, the fisherman is giving time to the protagonist, to the customer he bought in the house, saying that your bus leaves at 9, means by that time your time will be over and he will return back to his hut. And he also says that his daughter just turned 15, she just turned 15 few days back. Hearing this, the sky fell on me. Here the protagonist is saying, the sky fell on me, and a father's exhausted while a person who is a seller, who is selling something. So here the seller is the fisherman, the buyer, the customer is the protagonist, and the object was the girl who is compelled to do that for her living. So the sky fell on me as if it is like a shock that I got. And I found that the father was also exhausted. He was compelled to do that for his living. So he left the protagonist alone with his daughter so that he can have sex with her. Long and lean. Now the description of the physique of the girl was given here. Long and lean. Her ears were cold, so rubber. She opened her wormy legs wide. I felt the hunger. The other one, the fish slithering, turning inside. Now here two types of hunger has been depicted. Pay attention. Long and lean, the physique, the girl. She was long and thin. Dubli patli si wo ladki thi. Long and lean. And her skin was cold as rubber. It was flexible like rubber and cold. She opened her wormy legs. Now she opened her worm-like legs, कीड़े जैसे उसके पैर. She opened her worm-like legs apart for the action to be done, for the cause the customer came. But here I felt the hunger, the other one. Now here two types of hunger has been depicted. The hunger of sex that he felt, and also felt the fish slithering, turning inside, the type of noise coming out from the stomach of the girl, as if the fish is slithering, as if she was hungry for food. So here the hunger for flesh has been transformed into the hunger for food. So this has been beautifully expressed through these lines. Hunger. Thank you.